Banking fees are generally said to be higher at local Canadian institutions in the Bahamas than the region and their headquarters in Canada. Our Clint Watson has been investigating the cost to do banking with these institutions, and his findings tonight are quite telling.
Nowadays, banks and airlines charge for any and just about everything they offer. Scroll online at the major Canadian banks' websites and the list of fees is pages long. Banking your money is no longer the cheapest way to save. ZNS News did a comparative analysis on the local Canadian banks versus their Caribbean counterparts, and then we compared them with their headquarters in Canada. The findings are unbelievable. For the most part, Canada's fees are much less than what's being charged here in the Bahamas, and regional branches are leaning away from the hefty fees generally. The bottom line, banking fees for the major Canadian banks are higher in the Bahamas than anywhere else. For example, for a non-customer to cash a check at Royal Bank in the Bahamas, it's $15. An RBC Finco, it's $16.13, inclusive of VAT. But at Royal Bank Barbados, there's no charge, only the $2.50 for over-the-counter transactions. That's $1.25 Bahamian. In the Eastern Caribbean countries like St. Kitts, St. Lucia, and Dominica, there is a $3 Eastern Caribbean dollar charge. RBC in the Bahamas now has a fast deposit fee of $2.50, but in most islands, including the Caymans, the fast deposit fee is free. Now in Canada, Royal Bank charges $2 Canadian, which is about $1.60 US, to cash a check for a non-customer, and that cost does not come out of the funds going to the person cashing the check. It is actually debited from the RBC customer's account. And this fee can also be waived if the customer has a banking package that includes free checks. Royal Bank in Canada fees are comparatively less. For example, they charge 75 cents for interim statements, when the Bahamas charges $15. CIBC First Caribbean fees appear to be the same across the Caribbean. CIBC Canada fees are pretty similar. For example, to cash a non-CIBC check is $5 Canadian. When you convert it, it's a little less than the $5 charge here. That's if they choose to negotiate it here. Usually CIBC will hold another bank check for 5 days. Scotiabank Canada charges $5 Canadian to cash a check for non-customers. There are also minimal monthly fees to operate accounts. For references and printouts, it's about $2 to $5 Canadian dollars. For Scotiabank Bahamas, their credit card fees appear to be higher than competitors. For example, late fees are around $39. Some people say it could be a day. Annual membership for some cards are $85. And get this, transactions across the counter to the teller higher than their competitors. Withdrawals and deposits are $3 plus VAT here for Scotiabank Bahamas. Scotiabank Barbados fees are in many cases half the cost of what they are in the Bahamas, as advertised online.
Now, while the government has promised a meeting with the Clearing Banks Association and the Central Bank on the 19th of this month, many people are left wondering whether there'll be any real change. If you check the quarterlies of these commercial banks recently, their profits continue to soar, even in a depressed economy. Many of them are compensating for these new added fees that many of their customers don't know that they have. At the end of the day, lobbying for change will be a continuous process. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.